And this session is now being recorded. So delighted to be able to welcome. You'll see that I said we had three guests, and we do. We have got Mark and Stephen and Adam from Cornerstone On Demand. And I'm going to I'll hand over to you guys. Mark, leave it to
Over
you
to me.
to set us off and get us going.
Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for giving us your time today. Good to see so many names and faces. I wish I could say where I was it was bright and sunny, but it's also grey. But thank you very much. I'm joined today by my colleagues, and what we're going to look at today is VR and AI and changing the face of L&D. Very briefly, given the time, I will quickly take us through. So we've got Adam with us today. Adam's one of our content learning consultants. Stephen has joined us. Stephen, I have to say a huge thank you to you. It is 4 a.m. where you are. That's commitment. I hope you have coffee with you. And Stephen is our head of immersive content. And I'm Mark Lamswood, and I head up the Cornerstone content team for what we call international. So teams of people that support it across Europe and also Asia Pacific. What are we going to do today? We're going to talk to you around one of, if you like, our most exciting areas of learning content. We're going to talk about virtual reality and AI. We'll step back as we start the agenda. We'll talk to you a little bit about sort of the background and the things that we believe that this can help overcome. So we'll look at workforce agility very quickly. Adam's going to take us through some thoughts on that. I'll then jump back into the world of entering immersive learning and what that means for us. We'll cover off the power of, you'll hear some snippets and some facts and some figures that probably will be repeated a number of times, very deliberately so, but really helping people understand what we believe is going to be the power of immersive learning in the workplace. We'll talk about how we're set up to help organizations. We will do a shameless plug for our next webinar, and we are also here to answer your questions. Please use the chat box, ask us anything, and if we have time at the end, we'll also perhaps take a few live questions. Be prepared, there's some polls here. Andrew will help take us through where we have some poll questions. We've got some video to play to you, some demo. So also make sure that that audio is working loud and clear. But first off, a polling question. We wanted to know from you, have you tried immersive learning or virtual reality before? Andrew, I can see you've popped back in.
I have opened the poll, so I'm really interested in this response. What I thought was really good was when we had the talk through of this one, Mark. I'm thinking about, okay, so what might the responses be for this? Put some
Yeah.
responses in, and I can see people already putting their answers in. See, we have a really engaging population. We have people who want to be involved. Interested in your thoughts as to what the spread is like. Please keep answering. Please keep answering. The fact that a quarter of people say never, does that surprise you?
Based on conversations I've had recently, no, actually not. Um,
Okay.
I think what I'm seeing here is fairly typical. Stephen, you come from this world 100% and completely. What's
Mm,
your thoughts? Never.
mm,
It's not
uh,
unusual, is it?
no, no, it's not unusual. I think we're starting to see the curve and start to form, and more people month by month. But devices are coming down in price and are becoming more prolific. But there's also many more reasons to use. We have games and business purposes, but we're starting to see things like productivity and many other categories to come, which will open up how many reasons we have, much like an iPhone or an Android phone, to use it in a given day or week.
Awesome. I'm interested. We got some people have said something else. I'm assuming things are like military. If you have used it for something else, please put it into the chat. I'm really interested. Is the
Yeah.
in the chat. We sort of like got a mix games, business purposes, a mix of games and business. I see somebody has said the military. I see Kevin has said only tried it at conferences and events and not really been grabbed by it. Um, why not is the question, Kevin? What is it that you haven't really got from it? Um, uh, games seems to be a big use now. My son keeps talking to me about HoloLenses and stuff like that. Um, really interested. Is that the way in for this market, do you think?
I'm happy to take that if you,
Please,
yeah.
please,
So
Stephen. Yeah,
yeah, is games the way into the market? I think that's for the for the device companies, it certainly is, but not all of them. We're going to start to see others enter with uh, different types of collaboration and productivity and learning apps that are as robust as some of the gaming. It's a natural use case. Um,
okay,
all of this type of content is built on gaming engines, Unity, Unreal, or other, and so that's really where a lot of the
mm,
developers come from, and so that's why there is a bit of a gaming mindset to how some of this is built. Enter learning, and we start to get the instructional design aspect of meeting learning objectives added to gamification, and that's really where the value comes in. I think um, that gaming is fun, but obviously what we are have built for is very much focused in enterprise learning, uh, just to get the
yeah,
utility and value uh, out of the modality.
yeah. And keep up with your examples, everybody. I'm loving the examples that are coming in.
Yeah.
It's brilliant. Simulated learning, health and social care, banking, ESOL students. I'm seeing use cases here that I wouldn't even have thought of. These are really interesting. So thank you, everybody, and please keep the conversation going. Mark, back over to you.
Thank you. And Kevin, also picking up on one of your comments about feeling travel sick at one of our events recently, I had a very nervous customer that came to talk to me saying that they'd not enjoyed VR at all. We sat them down, we got them with a headset all ready to go, and took them through what we're offering here, which is slightly different. So perhaps it was a bit too early. Perhaps it was leaving you feel a bit disorientated. But let's get into what we're going to talk to today. Adam, adapting and changing with the workforce agility strategy. I think you're going to cover this piece off first.
I am. Thanks, Mark. So, as change accelerates, the ability to adapt to change is out of sync with the pace of that change. And what we've heard from our customers is that this change manifests in three main challenges. The skills required to perform are moving faster than people and organizations can prepare for it. People's expectations for development are changing faster than leaders can meet them. And leaders from the C-suite to frontline managers don't have the visibility into workforce data to navigate change. And these challenges, are symptoms of a bigger problem that we call the workforce readiness gap, where your people aren't able to deliver what your organization needs, precisely where or when you need it. And with more change, this gap becomes wider. In the age of AI, workers' skills are being disrupted at an unprecedented rate. Human skills are more important than ever. And if you look at the top 10 skills on the rise from the World Economic Forum, you can see that a new list of top skills over the past 10 to 15 years has emerged, and they've shifted significantly. Many of today's important skills were absent from discussions a decade ago, where things like hard skills like data analysis and coding dominated. With the advent of AI, there is a growing recognition of soft skills and human-centric skills. And understanding how work is changing with AI helps contextualize why these newer skills are essential. These challenges are not typical issues that are solvable through passive learning methods. So things like sending a video to learners, for example. And developing these skills requires engaging with mindsets, systems of collaboration, and a nuanced understanding of how to navigate change effectively. Now, organizations are transitioning from traditional linear human capital models to diverse frameworks that promote global learning. And this shift towards a workforce agility model presents unique challenges and opportunities. The new learning system is adaptive, allowing for customization to meet individual needs. With real-time content generation capabilities, materials can be updated daily, ensuring that they remain relevant and effective. And there's a crucial need for dynamic, interactive learning content that actively engages participants in real time. And new technologies enhance immersive content delivery, making it accessible on desktops and enriching the learning experience. And these improved consumption patterns will generate valuable insights, facilitating a shift from current skill levels to desired competencies of the future. And this provides significant benefits for learning professionals, offering clarity in skill areas through insightful measurement. And as we move towards a skill-focused paradigm, it's urgent to engage in discussions about career progression and talent mobility. And this approach fosters career exploration and enhances workforce engagement, aligning with the organization's commitment to achieving workforce agility. Back over to you, Mark.
We have another question. I'm interested. So, we mentioned there were 10 skills in the WEF report. It was talking about human skills being more important. Which skills are on the rise for you as a business or a team? So, what are the demands that you're being asked for in terms of skills right now? The ones that were on the slide previously: creative thinking, system thinking, analytical thinking, etc., AI, big data, technological literacy. You can put the response in the normal chat box, or you can use the large chat box that I've just opened up. But what are the particular skills that you are being asked and are on the rise for you in your organisations, your businesses, and your teams? Creative thinking, Simone. Thank you for putting creative thinking down. I saw a brilliant phrase the other day, which is, I wanted AI to do the boring stuff so I could be creative. Now it writes poems and I empty my washing machine, which I think is part of the problem we've got with AI. It's doing all the creative stuff for us, and maybe not all of our creative thinking. Mel says that customer service is a top consideration, and Lucy says lifelong learning, and life-wide, I think, as well, is something that we don't necessarily pick up. Lisa's saying strategic thinking, emotional intelligence, managing change, a bit of relationship building, critical thinking, I think, which is the other half of creative thinking, Sophie. I hear people talking about creative thinking. I think it's creative and critical together, and it's putting those two together. Mark and team, what are your thoughts on these? What are you thinking of some of the responses we've got here?
Probably what I'm expecting to see here. I think you're confirming what we know. I think things like, and there'll be some practical applications of this, but particularly in things like, I guess I'm going to home in on where I think we can sort of help with some of the solutions here, but things like, customer service, creative thinking. It's also confirming that, we would expect it, what the World Economic Forum says, you're probably going to be feeling, but we just wanted to be able to touch base and also see if there are any other skills there. Stephen, I'm just interested also from your side, give you a few seconds there to pull the mic down. If there's anything else there that's a bit of a surprise or anything that stands out.
Not a surprise, but what I love, I love all of these, but what I really love is that both critical and creative thinking came up as, as Andrew's saying, two sides of a coin here. They really go together. And as we began building the immersive stack, how we were approaching building our platform and this content, we really looked at it as a means with regards to all of the skills as a means to get the learner, the user, in a place to be critical and creative in their thinking and their decision making, all sort of aligned with that sort of pillar of Bloom's taxonomy, to really get folks at that level of thinking, so that the learning can be really sticky through engagement and be really effective.
Mm. Other thing I'll pick up as well is, I think perhaps it also depends on where the business feels they're ready. I'm reading Kevin's, and it's sort of, I feel your pain that you're still being asked for something that's transactional. I'm sure you're, preaching from the choir, and you're wanting to go at this, but perhaps it's like they're just not ready for this yet. So perhaps we need to tease people and let them know. If I move on into perhaps the next slide, what I wanted to do is just give you an overview and perhaps a small teaser as to where we are here. So I talk about entering immersive learning. So really bringing people up to speed on how we in Cornerstone, through one of our most recent acquisitions, which of course was the acquisition of Tailspin, have moved into this world. It is probably some of the most exciting areas for learning that we have seen for an awful long time. I probably will make no bones about it that we will provide that sort of teaser video, and here we come. Just wanted to show you one of the short teaser videos that we have today that really helps understand what we're now about and where we're going, and just to take you into that virtual world.
You're on mute, Mark. You need to unmute yourself.
I probably always smile when I see that. I am always amazed at the real life opportunities that we've had recently to take customers through some examples of this. We'll go through some facts and figures. So there's been an awful lot of research done. Some of these things you will absolutely see repeated throughout this, but one of the reasons why we believe this is so important is because it is delivering change at unprecedented speed. The impact that it has, the knowledge retention that is had, the wonderful team of Tailspin, of which Stephen came from and has now been embroiled into our big Cornerstone family. There was a lot of research done. There was some great research with people like PwC looking at why this is faster to train, why people's confidence is built up. And we will probably take you through a number of these things as we go through this conversation. From my side, I think I love the safe space. I love that we can get to practice some of our skills on a one-on-one basis. It's okay to make a mistake. I have been in L&D for a very long time, and ran facilitated training many years ago. And I remember the moans and groans that I got when I said, "Oh, great, after lunch, we're going to go and do some role play." Now, some people love it. Other people absolutely hated it. But here we're offering an opportunity for people to actually go, and it's only one of the use cases, but to go and actually practice a conversation in a safe space. What we're also doing is giving people an option to be able to run both the sort of traditional and passive learning mediums, but perhaps also moving into more immersive learning experiences. So running something that's prescriptive and not open-ended. We also will be looking here at where we'll take the more generative, open-ended conversation. Perhaps people not realizing that these environments can be used by anyone using our no-code authoring tool. So the simplicity of being able to build and construct this environment for yourself, for your organization, and making it personal to you. We'll cover off as we go through, but there are also a suite, there's a range of off-the-shelf courses that we've already deployed. So making sure that it's an opportunity for all. What we'll also look at is where we'll go from a generative open-ended experience, really looking at where we think we can take off-the-shelf courses to a very different level by offering a completely different experience. So a fully open-ended conversation. And the significant achievement that the team have really invested over many years to really take this experience into something that's also very different. So here it's covering off some of what that open-ended experience can be: real-time, open-ended conversations, adaptive content. So we also wanted to be able to talk about where we think that's going, and just giving a small snippet as we go through this to show you where we've taken that and where we really hope that this experience goes next. But before we do, I think we've got a question to come up. So, has your team or company tried immersive learning, but in the workplace before? So just trying to get an understanding of where you are, who's dabbled in this from a workplace perspective. We're just interested to see where that is right now. And as you see here, we'd put never hard skills, soft skills, or for something else.
Interesting that the response is coming through, and this one I'm not surprised by where the scoring is going. I'll put the results up so people can see where the scores are. Any surprises there?
But perhaps feeling like they weren't quite ready to get here yet. But then you've got that fairly equal breakdown of people using it for hard skills and soft skills. Stephen, sorry, I won't want to talk over you.
I'm not surprised that there's a lot of never have yet. I'm surprised with how much we're seeing in soft skills. Hard skills was really the focus even when we began in 2015-16. We were really focused in that area, but it's harder to scale. It's more expensive to build. That is now changing over the past couple of years. But that is why we sort of turned towards soft skills in 2018 and built the platform that way. Now, as we look at more of an immersive ecosystem for that leverages different elements and apps and solutions, we sort of look at what's going on with hard skills collaboration to make it not just a single point solution, but something that's more all-encompassing. I'm pleased to see how much soft skills is being leveraged, considering what we saw on that slide on the World Economic Forum. But I look forward to seeing that the 61% of never go down in the next year.
Is it just got to add something very quickly, Stephen, to what you just said there? It's we've got a poll option that says never. I do wonder what the option might have been if we'd said not yet. And I think that's a really interesting point, because we haven't done it, but actually are we thinking about doing it? I know we can't spend time on this now, but I'd love to know in the chat, is it something that you might think about is it a not yet response as opposed to a never response? And please use the general chat for this one. Is it something that you were thinking about? And Lucy's saying a not yet. And just well, why not yet? Is it what might be stopping that? So I'm just curious. That was just for my interest. It's purely because you said not yet, Stephen, and that made me think, or never or not yet. And I was thinking, oh, is there a not yet element within this somehow? But Mark, back over to you.
Thank you. And great questions coming in. We need to spend some time going through some of these, I think. Michelle, I'm really pleased I wasn't the only person that had an adverse reaction to role play. That's good. That makes me feel a bit better. I thought for a moment it was the way that I was doing it. We'll also go into some of these more detailed questions. Certainly running this at scale, one of the great things around the work that we've done with Cornerstone Immerse is it's also about trying to make it available to the massive and not necessarily making it mutually exclusive to headset use. Yes, of course, there is a wonderful experience by doing that, but the content that we've made available off the shelf is also available for people to consume on a desktop. So that's one of the ways that we're also trying to work really hard in making it available to as many people as possible. Now we come into the power, and I think, yeah, of course you can. Please.
For everyone. So the reason we really focus on immersive versus just talking about VR or AR is the form factor is going to change. We've seen form factors of hardware change over the years, right? The cellular phone used to be in a bag in the 80s and have an antenna and a strap that you carried over your shoulder, and now we have what we have. So form factors are going to change, and the multimodal platform and distribution is really critical. So we're seeing not just Cornerstone Immerse, but a lot of companies are starting to look at how tablet, desktop, mobile phones can be incorporated, and where if you're curious on whether or not it loses the magic or loses it's actually not magic, it's the science of that cognitive experience, there is some difference, but the higher level of interaction and in some cases emotional realism, which is what we're driving, is really what provides that stickiness of learning, ideally, if effective. And so immersive to us is not just about it being in a headset. And I think we're seeing that kind of broaden out, not just from Cornerstone Immerse, but others are looking at it that way too. And it doesn't just include the distribution, it includes how indeed AI and other innovations will increase engagement and effectiveness.
Thank you. You also just made me remember quite the size and the weight of my first mobile phone. Again, clearly showing my age here. But yeah, things are moving on and are moving on at pace. We go into now the power of immersive learning in itself. And I think, Adam, this was back over to you, sir.
And what about the return on investment? Well, there's been lots and lots of research done to validate the effectiveness of these new methodologies. Most technologies now deliver unprecedented speed, cost effectiveness, and impact. And we can learn 4 times faster and retain information for 16 times longer. So simply put, immersive learning saves time, saves money, It increases engagement and it improves retention. And of course, these advantages lead to a significant uplift in employee skills and capabilities, resulting in a transformative effects on organizational performance. Now, there's been a long-standing challenge of scaling learning experiences while maintaining quality. In traditional classroom learning, scalability often came at the expense of effectiveness. So manuals and videos scaled well, but lacked impact, while mentorship was effective, but it was hard to scale. Now, with immersive and generative simulations, it can unlock experiences previously found only in mentorship or on-the-job training. And it's no longer a trade-off between cost, speed, and quality. You can have it all. Looking ahead to 2025 and beyond, where the emergence of generative AI and AI agents will reshape how individuals develop skills, simulate scenarios, prepare for meetings, and enhance communication. Back in 2018, creating a single simulation required a team of engineers and animators, along with hundreds of thousands of dollars, and results were often inflexible or difficult to distribute. In 2021, we revolutionized the market with the launch of our no-code authoring tool, enabling custom content creation in just days, drastically cutting costs, and providing enterprise-ready distribution channels for seamless content delivery to the end users. Today, you can create content within an hour, and with our upcoming fully generative tool, you'll be able to do it in just minutes. So Mark, I believe back over to you. I think you're on mute again.
Sorry, I just got to cut in. It's the most common words since post-pandemic, isn't it? You're on mute. The three most common words in the world.
Definitely calling on the mute one. So what are we trying to do? We're trying to make sure that you as organizations have the power to create, to consume, to distribute, and to measure. This is really talking about how we get over some of those challenges that we see here around companies needing exorbitant budgets and setting up, VR rooms, to how can you do this at scale? How can we help you have the use of these sorts of tools? Adam's already alluded to, where can we go from more of a generative AI perspective? How can we make this really super simple? The journey has been progressive and fast, and we were in a position through the work of the acquisition to be able to immediately give our customers access to content that they could consume. Again, making sure that we're talking around making it available to everybody. So it isn't something that becomes restrictive by a headset, that we were finding great ways to ensure that everybody can have access to this sort of training. So we have a library of content that's ready-made. It's there to go off the shelf. We are concentrating and specializing in the soft skills arena. This is ensuring that we've got great titles to help people have real life experiences. I think I saw a question before about some of the things around ethical concerns, or perhaps around culture, and how you could be using our courses to dictate how that works and how you can make it personal for your organization's experiences. We're also talking around things like body language, and I can tell you that yes, absolutely, you can provoke great experiences, dialogue and body language in our off-the-shelf courses, because you can guide that conversation. You can say the right things, you can say the wrong things, and provoke a very real life experience. So the off-the-shelf courses today we made them available to our customers almost immediately. So our content customers had the benefit of this content made available as quickly as we could post acquisition. So there are more than 20 hours worth of training, and there's 57 human skills there. Now, this is proving to be extremely popular, but we're also going to talk about where this goes next and what we want to be continuing to evolve and achieve. The Immerse Creator, the no-code authoring tool, this is really powerful to enable you as organizations to build your own experiences, for you to be able to build a library, to select a scene, to select the individual and the voice, and to be able to then take through a number of options. So again, trying to make the ability for you as an organization to build something that's uniquely personal, and whereas the off-the-shelf content right now and today is in English, there are plans to make that available in multiple languages early next year. You can also be creating your own courses in other languages from the get-go. So really important. We'll also move into the world of what we're calling Cornerstone Immerse Companion, and we'll give you a snippet of that next. But an opportunity then to look at where we think this can go. And this has been, I think, many, many months, I'm going to suggest years in the making, and building something that you can use very simply and easily. So if you're looking at what Immerse Companion can do, it's really around that personalized learning at scale. Having a one-to-one interaction, looking at enhancing the engagement and knowledge retention, and just practicing again in a safe space. I'll also cover off how this can be used and the use cases in which we think it will be used. And again, accessible anytime, anywhere. So you can experience the 2D desktop version. You can, of course, also use a headset for those people in your teams that have them available. So the next snippet starts to show you an overview of the pre-release of Immerse Companion. here, and I thought you might actually want to come and talk to this.
Pardon me. So we're focused on focusing here in a little bit on Immerse Companion. So this is where, rather than just to again differentiate between Immerse and Immerse Companion, Immerse in its current form is an experience that uses a prescriptive flow, a branched narrative, branched dialogue that is written by the instructional designer, by a team of folks that gives the user choices. Whereas Immerse Companion, as you just saw, is fully open dialogue. And that obviously is something that has been asked for years. How can we get there? And really what we've done as we've, as technology has allowed us, as large language models allow us to be able to do this, there's a couple of different ways in which you can think about an Immerse Companion helping in the workforce. So as it says here, learning in the flow. So a use case I spoke to a physician about. A physician has to give a family really bad news. This specific one was a pediatric physician who's had to give bad news as an attending ER physician for years. And that sometimes needs a moment of thoughtfulness and preparation and the ability to have a moment, whether it's in a headset or not, to practice that in the flow of work conversation is helpful. A coach or a mentor, coaching obviously much deeper, requires some understanding of the individual learner. That's where LXP and skills inventory comes in, but mentoring the virtual being as a mentor can really provide a very adaptive way to receive feedback if the learner is looking for different information. And so with these three different kind of oh sorry, I didn't go into expert led. So now take the example of putting all the data from an expert, an SME, taking that data and being able to put that into, by the way, not taking the data, but leveraging the data in an ethical way. It's somebody's IP, of course, you're leveraging that data with their permission, and you're using that to form a framework that will allow the virtual human to answer based on that. So thinking about our friends at the Ken Blanchard companies, if you're familiar with them, situational leadership too, right? Built by Ken Blanchard, a wonderful, wonderful program. Taking that information and putting that into a data model, as an example, would allow for a conversation with a real-time expert on situational leadership too, as an example. I hope I'm trying to go quicker. I don't think I succeeded, but hopefully that gave a bit of an overview.
Showed me Immerse Companion. And actually, what actually happened that day took me several seconds to catch up with. She talked to us. She continued to have a conversation with Immerse Companion, showing me its capability. And halfway through, she switched to Filipino, and immediately the virtual human responded in Filipino. And I was just a bit, whoa, that happened. And did that just happen? I have to catch up with myself. We know that will be a really good use case application for that here. So absolutely amazing, and it's blown people away. At Unleash in Paris just a few weeks ago, I was joined by Ingo from our Immerse team, and we were making customers smile, and I was seeing customers talk to it in Arabic, in German, in French, both English and French, and it was just making them smile with the way it so positively responds. Let's go back into the rest of the slides because I appreciate. Yes, please do.
Which is the ability to add data models on cultural, the way business is done in different cultures is much simpler, as opposed to having to programming it a little bit more manually. Cross-cultural business communication can be addressed by adding some of the information that we know about different cultures and make sure that the system is aware. So in a module that is, in an experience that is training the learner a bit about that, having to go to a different region and work with that culture, they can sort of effectively speak to a virtual human and either get that information and or practice.
Thank you. There are also some technical questions, I think, coming through there as well. I know Alistair was asking around the AI model. I don't know if, Stephen, you could perhaps be responding to some of those as well. I'll try and take us through the last of these slides very quickly. So really, we're talking here around how we can make this available. And this really calls out that major differential here, that with Cornerstone Immerse, it was available through VR and desktop. It's really important that we make this available to as many people as possible. And we didn't want this to be something that was restrictive in any way. So that's really what we were trying to be able to say here. And then also with any system, you get the insights. So making sure that you can have your finger on the pulse with the skills, really understanding what is being achieved and who is learning what. I did a webinar just a few weeks ago on return on investment in learning content. A really big, passionate area for me, because I think it's important that we always talk about the value that we're adding, the business pain points that we are delivering against, the skills that we're developing. And sometimes we do get really caught up in our world of L&D of the metrics. I still have some customers that will insist on, completions as being the master key for return on investment. And we know it's so much more than that. Having the right data available is clearly key. How we elevate those conversations within your stakeholder group to prove the value and that return on investment, I think, is absolutely critical. We also know that some customers aren't ready to do this all on their own. So like any organization, we'll also be able to help. Certainly when it comes to onboarding our customers, Stephen has a great team of people that are able to take customers through their implementation, if you like, their setup, their organization. And Shanta and the team do an absolutely amazing job of taking people through really the skill set that they need to get up to speed. We also will provide bespoke services. Now, if that's not provided internally, that's something that we can also provide through external partners. The one thing that Cornerstone will add to Cornerstone Immerse is the scale to get hold of all of the right partners and all of the right people so that we can help you move this forward. So from our side, it was also to say, we get it, we understand. Some people need help here. Some people want more help than others. Some people want to go it alone. When you go it alone, we'll still help you get set up. We'll make sure that you've got all the support you need, but other people might need very bespoke creation services. And we've got you covered for that too. Last of the questions. What do you think the type of training is that lends to this type of product? What is it that you think you could see yourselves using in the world of immersed learning as a format for workplace learning? We're interested. We know we've made a very distinct view, and it's very much a soft skills offering that we have today. But we want to know from you, what is it you would want to be able to develop? Is it those difficult conversations? Is it soft skills? Is it customer service? That's what we wanted to get here, to understand your view.
Thanks, Mark. We've got people already dropping stuff in
I
there,
saw.
but I'm thinking from a social care perspective. One of the key challenges for training social workers particularly children's social workers, is how can they practice, in inverted commas, in a safe space. And I think there's definitely something in that space. Unfortunately, there's no money in social care for someone to pay for that, but I think that would be a incredible space, because we always talk about difficult conversations and difficult behaviours as management behaviours and so on. Hmm. Yeah, yeah,
Action that I got there and then. So I could see how particularly those difficult conversations and social working with children would need that guidance and that role play practice in a safe environment before we put you live
yeah.
in front of somebody.
Absolutely. And we're getting things like procedural training, as you would expect. Cybersecurity, I think, is a really interesting use case, Yvonne. I like that one. G. Thompson Murdoch, you say soft skills. I would say critical core skills. I much prefer that as a description. Singapore government called them critical core skills, and I really do like that in turn of phrase. But I think they're the same thing there. EDI, Kevin, is an interesting one. Allyship, bystander training, particularly bystander training. I think that's an interesting one. Saw an interesting story on that last week. Um, about certain devices and products being witnessed, says Alistair, which I think is interesting. Different cultures, I think, is an interesting one as well. And team learning in interactive environments. So people working together, says Jeff, and learning together. I think there's definitely something there. People having an opportunity to work together. I can think of examples when I worked in the fire service where that would have been useful. Anything else jump out at you?
I think Stephen was responding with some stuff there. If I look at it,
Yeah. Yeah, immersive scenarios and so on.
yeah.
That's a seriously good. That's a really good idea. That's an awesome idea.
Dyslexia. There's a specific program that we're leveraging the
Mhm.
technology for. So really interesting what just the nature of the experience can do. Um, Tool maintenance, hard skills, really breaking it down into sort of procedural based training or object based training. Um,
Mhm.
and that those can obviously be combined. So, using an object, but yet following a specific process, understanding that object and its process versus just the object. And then combining that with soft skills. And now you're getting more into a more robust simulation. And
Yeah,
fire service,
awesome
yeah,
stuff.
we've seen
Yeah.
a bunch of that.
Yeah, yeah,
Medical.
yeah, yeah. Excellent. Oh, we're going to have to move on, guys. We've only got about 4 minutes left. So back over to you.
Thank you. So this is the piece where you might need to get your phones ready. We wanted to let you know that we continue to support Learning Technologies with the webinars that they have and loved being part of this today. It's not been my first time and I'm sure it won't be my last. We run internal webinars too, and we have an opportunity for you to get to meet Kyle Jackson, Stephen's counterpart, the former CEO of Tailspin, to be able to come in and talk about where we're developing this and really get into the crux of the development and how this is built and show it to you live. Perhaps show and answer some of the questions that you've had on here. Perhaps something really simple like I think I was saying before, Kay, you were talking about, US English and UK English. Let's show you how you just go in and do that and click a button and you can change the voice, you can change the avatar, you can change the narrative and the room build. But we have an opportunity to meet with Carl on the 28th of November. Please scan to register. And I think we've actually got the link in on the within the downloads as well, Andrew. I'm sure we had that to you earlier on. From our side, with 2 minutes to go, Stephen, I'm going to pick on you. Anything in particular that stood out, anything that you'd like an opportunity here quickly to answer, because I'm really appreciative that we have very little time left.
how that might be, how we're looking at the challenges related to AI. It's not just about immersive, but about learning overall, and that's likely something that is coming in. When you speak to Kyle, that is a deep question that requires a lot of a lot of thought and not just a quick thing to answer. MDM, someone was asking about MDM. No, Cornerstone doesn't have its own MDM, isn't an MDM provider or have its own MDM service. Third parties are already out there that are either much more common in enterprise or are specific for XR. Companies like Arbor manage XR, and then you can actually go through a company like Mace, Mace Virtual Labs, who will do this sort of white glove deployment along with getting that MDM for you. I don't know if I've addressed them all, but
if not,
yes, sir.
I haven't got your contact details, Stephen. I assume people will be able to connect with you via LinkedIn. You're
Absolutely.
on LinkedIn.
I'm
So
on
look
it.
up
I'm on it every day.
Stephen Fromkin. Excellent. So look up Stephen Fromkin on LinkedIn. I haven't added Stephen's details to the closing slide here. My apologies. Mark, you mentioned the next webinar, and there's a link there. You can click on that link. That link is live, and you can use that link to take you to the webinar you want to copy and paste that in. That's to a registration page. You've got Mark and Adam's connection details for LinkedIn, and like I said, if you do a look up for Stephen as well, and you can also, if people would like to, you can connect with me on there as well. Although why you'd want to do that, I have no idea. Thank you, gentlemen. Please, audience, can we please just express what we think of that session from Mark, Stephen, and Adam? Just tell us what you thought. Put it in your